Okay, our next person we have is Kevin Adler, and he's the founder of Miracle Messages. And he also has a little bit to say after he tells us about Miracle Messages about things that his group is doing to help our less housed people with dealing with the coronavirus. So, Kevin, it's all up to you now. Kevin?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, I had to unmute myself. Cool. So I tried to just copy a bunch of text into the chat, but that doesn't seem to be working. So what I'm going to do is put a link that I'd like everyone to go to. Okay, this.
I can get the link, Kevin, if you want.
Yeah, great. Let me just get this set up here. So we have that, comment, link. Okay, great. And then I'll put this here. Yeah, thanks, Amy. I love the visual of the whack-a-mole thing. Totally can relate to just things popping up and bopping down. And, you know, it's definitely one of the reasons I started Miracle Messages. So just as a little bit of backstory, Miracle Messages helps people who are experiencing homelessness reconnect to their loved ones. And I had an uncle who was homeless for about 30 years. He lived on and off the streets. You know, I never saw him as a homeless man. He was just a beloved family member of mine. And so after he died, I started just having conversations with people on the streets, trying to hear you know, what were their, you know, what's their stories, what's their situation, and finding that a lot of people were a lot more similar to my Uncle Mark than I realized. And over the course of a year, I did a project really just to build empathy and kind of storytelling, but, you know, really just my own awareness. I felt like I didn't know much about homelessness as an issue. I cared about it, but, you know, care about a lot of issues. And so as a project to build empathy, I created this thing called Homeless GoPro, where for the course of a year had 24 individuals experiencing homelessness volunteer to wear GoPro cameras around their chests. And I invited everyone to, you know, share their experiences of what life is like on the streets. So I got the footage back and was really shocked by what I heard and what I saw. And over again, I heard different people say similar stories, which was, I never realized I was homeless when I lost my housing, only when I lost my family and friends. And that really, you know, hit a nerve for me. And so long story short, a couple of years ago, I took a walk down Market Street and went up to every person who I saw experiencing homelessness and just said, hey, do you have any family or friends you'd like to reconnect with? And met a guy named Jeffrey. He said he hadn't seen his family in 22 years. On the spot, recorded a video from Jeffrey to his sister and his niece and nephew. And then within an hour, posted on Facebook. And within an hour of posting it on Facebook, in a Facebook group connected to his hometown, it went viral. Hundreds of people started commenting, sharing, saying, hey, I know Jeffrey. I went to high school with Jeffrey. I work in construction. Does he need a job? You know, I work at the congressman's office. Does he need health care? And in the first 20 minutes of the post, his sister got tagged. And we got on the phone the next day, and she told me that Jeffrey had been a missing person for 12 years. And this is broad daylight, downtown San Francisco, a few days before Christmas. And so on the spot, quit my job. I've been working in education, technology, kind of social entrepreneurship in a different space, and started doing this work full time because I knew that Jeffrey wasn't the only one, and this shouldn't be happening. So that's a little bit of the backstory. I'm just sharing a link that everyone I think should be able to click now. Since I don't have slides and I wasn't quite sure how to best prepare, I kind of just put my notes together, and I thought I'd just kind of talk through and just share my notes so you can kind of follow along. I made it so you can kind of add comments and stuff if you want. But so I've given you the backstory. As a result of that, we've now built infrastructure and systems that have reunited over 300 families. The average time disconnected is 15 years. 80% of reunions lead to a positive outcome. 15% have led to stable housing or living with family again at a fraction of the cost that most programs operate under and getting people off the streets. And the vision really is to end what we're calling relational poverty on the streets. You know, relational poverty is a form of poverty. People who are homeless, obviously food, water, shelter, clothing, housing, all essential, but they also need relationships, social supports, community. And so we're working to help rebuild that as best we can. So let's get into the meat of this because it's short, we're on Zoom, your dinner's burning or you're hungry, you gotta like sanitize your hands. So for Miracle Messages, you wanna get involved right now. Things have shifted pretty dramatically as a result of COVID-19. The main thing you can do is show up. Every day now at 12 p.m., we have a daily task force organizing call. The organizing call information, there's a spreadsheet under the COVID-19 initiatives, get started here. You can just add your information there and you'll get on that. And that's the one. Thank you, Anonymous Grizzly, for highlighting that. And so 12 p.m. every day, and we're having a bunch of exciting stuff on that call. I'll share a little bit more about that momentarily. Second is what you want to do from the list below. So I'm going to talk through the items. Again, if you're a visual person, you can follow along. If you like my face, you can look at that too, like whatever you prefer. So the core initiatives, if you want to get started with that, you got to sign up on our site, get involved. So miraclemessages.org, get involved, fill out the get involved. Then you'll have access to this. This isn't going away. So you can do all this after or whenever you want. Right now, it's not just me posting videos on Facebook, right? Videos sometimes can be voyeuristic, exploitative. It's not always the best idea for harm reduction. Sometimes people want to do a photo or just a note or a written message. So we built, and we also don't want to make everything public, right? Some people, they're dealing with some really serious traumas. They don't want some people to get in touch with them. There's problems in the family. Hey, mom and dad, bad idea, I ran away. That's part of the problem, not part of the solution, right? But I want to get in touch with my sister. How can I do that? So we built a network of volunteer digital detectives. And these are folks, 25, 30 people every call. They call in at like 5:30 on Wednesdays to get involved with Miracle Messages as a digital detective. They make phone calls, they write letters, they basically do internet stalking for good to help find families. You can also be an outreach volunteer. We have a mobile app, we have a hotline, a paper form, online form, but not right now because COVID-19 and physical distancing, right? But normally we do outreach training calls if you're interested to offer Miracle Messages to your neighbors on the streets or help implement it at local partner sites. User skills. So we have 2 people full-time that run this organization, one general manager part-time in South Florida, and then a couple formerly homeless individuals as community ambassadors that we hire on an hourly basis that go and offer Miracle Messages in the Tenderloin, giving them their first job since they've been homeless. So we'd love your skills to help develop some of these products. Technology is great with the mobile app, the database that we use, the interplay between the two. We'd love help on that. Design. So kind of core skills if you're interested, get in touch. Organizing, and then, internet stalking is part of it. A couple other miscellaneous things to just mention. 1-800-MISS-YOU, that's our hotline. If you call that number, you'll reach either, myself, one of our volunteers, my colleague Jessica, or, leave a voice message. And it's a hotline for people who want to reconnect to their loved ones. So we try to make our services as accessible to clients as possible. Caseworkers, social workers can also call 1-800-MISS-YOU. Find Them is basically everything I've just said, but in reverse. So instead of recording a message from a person who's homeless to their family, families reach out to us probably on average like 1 or 2 a day looking for their homeless relatives. I'm going to moisturize here while we talk just because my hands are getting dry. I didn't need to tell you that, but why not? So Find Them right now has about 400 entries from families looking for their missing relatives who they presume to be homeless. As you can imagine, during COVID-19, families, if you had a brother on the street or a son or a mom, my God, right? So we're upping the staffing and the search capabilities for Find Them. We've done about 8 reunions, which doesn't seem like a lot, but imagine like, hey, I have a homeless brother in San Francisco. Can you find them for me? Like, wow. And we have some protocols that we're training people on to do the Find Them search. So if you're interested in that, that's one. Community ambassadors, I mentioned, are formerly homeless individuals, Brian and Beverly, that are hitting the streets. And then chapters, we're building up a network of college chapters, young professional chapters, whoever chapters, so that they can offer this in their local communities. Okay, now the COVID-19 related stuff. So to get started, looks like someone bumped it over, but that's fine. bit.ly/MM task force, you can add your information there and you'll be added to the Google Calendar event invite for our daily call. Joining the call, 12 p.m. every day, Monday to Sunday, every day of the week while this is going on. 30-minute call, super focused, like who needs what. Today, as just an example, we had 2 representatives from distilleries join that call. And we've been working with them. They're procuring 10 gallons right now of hand sanitizer a day. In the next few days, we're hoping operational capacity gets up to more like 100. And then we're coordinating to kind of disperse that to local providers. If you want to see the next cool thing, oh yeah, join us on Slack. That's our Slack thing. Coordinating spreadsheet. We've now disseminated over 110 drop-offs or pickups of items from wipes to masks to hand sanitizer to clothes to food, from Oakland Children's Hospital to the largest homeless service providers in the Bay Area, because they don't have their own supplies. A lot of them have been shut down. Since so much of Miracle Messages case management is already digital and like virtual, we're less affected as organizations that are on the ground. So that's the list. Would love helping to coordinate items, getting the word out. If people need a certain item, we can try to find it. Hand sanitizer has been really increasing lately, which is exciting in terms of the supply. Encouraging shelter-in-place orders. I think it's our duty to shelter in place, especially for those neighbors who can't adequately shelter in place. So I created a change.org petition. Feel free to sign it, share it. It's done pretty well, and it's been going for about a week and a half before the lockdown orders were in place, even in California. So, kind of good to be ahead of the curve on that. And then coming soon, kind of, world announcements that you'll hear about over the next couple days and couple weeks. So tomorrow we're launching our COVID-19 emergency fund. That's a fundraising appeal. We want to make sure that we're covering our bases and able to deploy the staff time, the resources to this crisis to continue reaching people who need it on the streets. So appreciate donations there. That's on our website, should pop up as the first thing. The next 2 weeks, I just submitted an op-ed kind of outlining a lot of ways people can get involved around homeless initiatives during COVID-19, hoping that will get published in the next few days. If the newspaper of choice does not accept it, then we'll try to find another home for it. And then we're going to be launching a website that's going to be an umbrella for all of the COVID-19 initiatives. So we can kind of refer to that rather than the spreadsheet, and you can just kind of click buttons and see photos and stuff. So that's going to be launching. And then really exciting, we've already launched this, but it's not public, is what we're calling Miracle Friends. Miracle Friends is a first of its kind intergenerational buddy system where we've matched up young professionals in San Francisco Bay Area with formerly homeless senior citizens, where they're basically matched up and having phone calls, video calls, texts, and they got matched this week or last week now. So that started while lockdown's going on, social isolation, anxiety super high. It was supposed to be a monthly lunch program, but we kind of, converted it to, virtual real quick. We have an article in the SF Chronicle that's going to come out about that in the next month or so. And so we imagine when that article comes out, we'll have a lot more interest. So we're kind of doing what we can right now to try to onboard some more sites. If they have, elderly individuals that might be interested in getting connected, could use a lot of help onboarding these sites. But anyways, I have to give a shout out. Larissa was on the call. She is on the call. She helped me work on the op-ed. So thanks, Larissa. So kind of just in closing before we open it up, you know, need your help now more than ever. Our shirts, everyone is someone, somebody, just, you know, whatever you take, realizing that homeless people are not problems to be solved, but people to be loved. That's really our mantra. And if you have questions, please review that doc again. And then just, you can always email me at kevin@miraclemessages.org.
Awesome.
Thank you, Kevin.
I'm going to eat a carrot while we ask questions.
Thank you, Kevin. That was great. Anybody have questions for him? You were so thorough that our audience seems to have understood what you had. And Sarah was kind enough to post a whole bunch of links on how to get connected with you.
Can I toss something to the soup?
Yes.
What's the biggest challenge that you're finding with your project? Just kidding.
For COVID-19 related stuff or just in general?
Both. Keep it under a minute.
Oh, thank you for the timeline. So related to general, we have all this infrastructure to do this service really well. It's really hard to get people to offer this service. A lot of shelters, soup kitchens, partner sites, they're like overwhelmed even when there's not a, you know, global pandemic. And so trying to get them to add our question, like, do you have any family or friends you want to reconnect with? It's really hard. And so figuring out new ways to empower outreach workers, street volunteers, partner sites, integrating it into continuums of care, that's something that we really have struggled with. So that's our biggest general problem. COVID-19 related, well, let's take a look at the list. I would say the items, you know, masks obviously are in super short supply. There's a huge demand that we're not able to meet. Probably just getting the word out that other communities in the next couple of weeks are going to be really feeling this, and you know, their distilleries, their networks of volunteer mutualism are going to be coming online. We want to make this spreadsheet, either copy it and repurpose it, like, I don't care, just, you know, use your own, or use this. We're building some, you know, logic models to make it so it, you know, notifies someone if they get the item. There's, you know, different pieces in place. So I think just getting the word out and making sure communities that are facing these needs and also have a desire to give can access it.
Kevin, that's great.